Loss of farms. Agriculture drive urban renewal development model in vacancy. The study area is located in the neighborhood of Lower Woodward, which is also the midtown area of Detroit. This is an area of very high density of population and imperviousness. The impacts of climate change on Detroit mainly includes two aspects: extreme heat and increased precipitation. There is a significant increase in annual averages of daily high temperatures. The number of extremely hot days may increase by 50% in the 2050. More deaths are projected in summer in 2050. This will cause lower outdoor environment quality, less access to open spaces, and heat-related diseases. At the same time, the heavy precipitation event will happen more frequently, leading to more frequent flooding and overloaded stormwater infrastructure. But there are still some positive impacts like longer growing seasons and more irrigation water. There are many groups of people and communities are more vulnerable to climate change. The vulnerabilities are classified to four categories: population, land cover, people walking to work, and high temperature. The vulnerability of each category was analyzed by overlapping. Obviously, the Midtown area is one of the most vulnerable areas in Detroit. Over 50% of land in Detroit is impervious. Almost all the areas with high percent of imperviousness overlap with the area of high temperature in the summer. The lack and the decrease of canopy coverage could make the situation worse in Midtown. Imperviousness can also contribute to overloaded combined sewer system. In the meanwhile, vacant lands where houses were demolished can have more contamination like lead in the soil. This will be a problem for urban farming. Another problem is food insecurity, which is usually related to poverty or unemployment. The carbon fresh food consumption of residents on the site doesn't meet the USDA's recommendation. There should be 5.3 million vegetable servings and 2.9 million fruit servings in need. This issue of health may also make people more vulnerable, but vacant land can provide opportunities and resources for adaptation. Because vacant land can be used as cultivation land to provide vegetable and fruit. Urban farms can also as green infrastructure to retain 55% more runoff than vacant land. The vacant land can also provide more open spaces for urban use like with public benefits. It can also provide more employment opportunities of farm workers and laborers. There are 64.9 acres of vacant land on the site, which means the vacant land here will be able to not only meet the recommended food consumption for carbon residents, but also meet the food demand as population increases in the future. Since 1850, Detroit started to enter a stage of rapid urbanization. Before this rapid period, Michigan lumber was used to build and rebuild Chicago after the Great Fire of 1871. As an industry city famous for its automobile industry, most employment was provided by the automobile companies, but 43% of population was still unemployed. When the population reached the peak, the issues of depopulation, industrial abandonment, and the lack of public space became more and more serious. The environment also faced many problems such as accumulated contamination in the soil and soil compaction, which decrease the capacity of infiltration of soil. During the period of industry decline, the city entered a stage of rapid shrinkage. As the vacancy kept increasing, urban farming began to take place in some vacant lands. In 1990, there were already 32% of residents living below the poverty line. Some organizations also began to contribute to the improvement of environment and agriculture industry, like urban farm. The vacant lands and the residential buildings are dominant in this area, and most of them are multi-family apartments. So most residents might not have their own gardens in their community. Many streets don't have enough canopy coverage, but the land surface temperature is very high in the summer in this area. Thus, the increase of canopy should be considered in the area with both pervasiveness and high temperature. The dominant soil type is urban soil, which is clay and is very compact. Therefore, the area is also somehow poorly drained, and the most soil is not rich enough to support agricultural development. In summary, the problems are unhealthy open space, heat-related diseases, overloaded stormwater infrastructure, more frequent flooding events, contaminated compact soil, increased unemployment and poverty, and food insecurity. Climate change will also provide longer growing seasons and more irrigation water. Vacant lands can provide spaces for production, infrastructure, and employment. As population will increase in the future, house construction will make construction industry demand more wooden materials. So here, the solutions here will take advantage of all opportunities: green infrastructure, urban farm, timber farm, and reforestation will deal with all the problems, and these solutions will also interact with each other. The big idea tries to take advantage of climate change to make community and the city more resilient during climate change and have good preparation for future development, more secure food, more healthy open space during the climate change, add vacant lands into the public space, and prepare them for future development. The strategy will be implemented in 4 phases. In phase 1, soil improvement and infiltration. In this phase, pipe composting is combined with bipole infiltration hole to capture more runoff and also enrich soil. Biopole infiltration hole is filled with organic trash like fallen leaves and small branches, which will be decomposed naturally underground. The biopole infiltration hole can also promote the aeration of the pipe composting. Clay soil meadow that can establish root deeply in clay soil is used to promote soil decompaction and fertilization. Also, the root can decompose the contamination in the soil. Danger remediation is a kind of method to decrease contamination, like pH and lead in the soil with the root system of trees or woody plants. In phase 2 urban farming, there are 2 types of overlapped tree farm. There are 50% of timber and tree nursery and 50% of cultivation. Type 1 is for soil-based vacant lots. After harvesting trees, the soil will be fertilized again by crop fields. Type 2 is for vacant land with concrete surface. The vertical farm is set between the trees containers. The trees growing in tree farms will be used for next 2 phases. Community garden is for publicly owned vacant lots. It serves as public green space to meet demand of recreation of residents. Rotational grazing is driven by the mobile chicken coop in the whole community. In the area of tree farms, there will be a certain area defined by fence for temporarily accommodate the chicken. In phase 3, urban reforestation, the trees from the tree farms will be used as forest patch to increase the canopy in parks and some public vacancy to provide more cool spaces for residents in the summer. Also, the trees will be transplanted from tree farms to the streets as street trees. Some parking lots along the road will be converted to small parks. The fruit trees will be also transplanted to the public space to provide residents some fresh fruits. In phase 4, some tree farms will be redeveloped for increased population and new industry. But most agriculture will be kept in other forms. The tree farms will also provide construction materials for new construction projects. In the mixed service development, the new building will provide outdoor creation underneath the building and at the top of the building. The recreation space is connected to other open public space. In mixed-use housing development, the roof will be used for farming. There will be gardening area on each floor. Residents will have their own garden to grow their own plants or crops. The tree farms, community gardens, and new developments will be connected by pathways. Parks will also connected to this network. Remaining tree farms will continue producing and will be developed for other urban development plans. Seasonality is considered in planting pattern. The slow-growing trees like spruce will be planted under the canopies of fast-growing trees. They will serve as windbreak during the winter to promote the comfort of open space for residents. The phasing strategies in this project is used to overlap more eco-functions, agricultural value, economic value, and public recreation in urban vacancy over time. The city landscape will be more resilient to higher temperatures and more frequent heavy precipitation events. The residents will have more access to healthy public space and more employment opportunities. Overlapped tree farm on vacancy as a preparation for urban revitalization takes advantage of value of vacancy that was used to be wasted.